Hello from Adventure Isle. Today we're going to show you how we're going to set up our very own Honeydukes here in our living room as part of our daughter's 9 3/4 birthday party. The first thing that we're doing that might be a little bit different than what you've seen others do when they create their very own Honeydukes is that we are not using a traditional backdrop because those are either disposable or at least not very reusable, and we thought a better use of our money would be to buy this. It's actually a Honeydukes throw blanket. So once it's done being used for the Honeydukes decoration and candy bar that we're setting up for my daughter's birthday party, it will then be washed and given to her as part of her birthday gift, and she'll be able to use it in her room. So the first thing we're going to do is open this up and get started with that part of the project. Here is what the blanket looks like. It's huge. It's taller than I am. And so I'm going to get up there and make sure it looks how I want it to look. And then I think the way we're going to attach it is just by using thumbtacks. My husband's going to help me with that part. I brought my husband in for this part. He's going to help me hang up this backdrop. And this way I can see exactly where I want it to go because I will be able to spot where he's putting it. Yes, but I think a little bit more to the left. There. Yeah. He's so handy to have around. Look at that. All right, so now, look, we have this beautiful backdrop, and we just used 3 thumbtacks to put it in, so it shouldn't damage the blanket, so we should still be able to give it to our daughter as a gift when we're done. Next up, we have this. This is the tablecloth we're going to be using because, as you can see, the main colors for Honeydukes are pink and green, but because the blanket was already very, very pink, we decided on a green tablecloth. But before we put this on, we're actually going to stack some boxes underneath it so that it gives it some levels when we're ready to put our candy jars on, and we'll just make it look a little bit more flattering. Now we're going to put some boxes underneath the tablecloth to give it some height levels. Doesn't really matter what the boxes look like, but how sturdy they are does matter because you don't want your candy jars to be falling, and if you use like an Amazon box or a cardboard box, it might not be sturdy enough to hold up the weight of whatever candy you're putting on it. So this is actually just like a gift box I got from HomeGoods, but it's very heavy duty, very sturdy. So we're going to use this for one of the boxes, and then we actually have from our wedding. This was actually a centerpiece from our wedding. And so what we're gonna do with that is we're gonna turn it upside down. It's metal and very heavy duty. And then we will go ahead and put that underneath as well. So for these ones, I'm gonna put them upside down. And it gives you kind of like a little platform to work with. And the same with this one. I'm gonna put this one in a different direction over here in this corner. And then you can push the tablecloth down in the middle, and when you add some candy jars in the middle, that will help too. I'm going to push this one forward a bit. And I have one more box that looks like that, so I'm going to grab that. Here is one more of those HomeGoods boxes, which I'm going to put over there on that side. I kind of have like 3 raised points, and then we'll start organizing our jars. And I am going to turn this box in the other direction so that they don't all look the same. And now is a good time to make sure that your tablecloth is kind of where you want it, because once you start placing jars, it'll be harder to move those. Now I'm actually going to add one more box in the middle so we have one very tall point. Okay, now this is what it looks like. So we've got the Honeydukes backdrop, we've got the tablecloth with 3 different height levels. Now we're going to fill some candy jars and start decorating the actual Honeydukes table. I will basically be using 2 different types of candy jars. I do have some actual candy jars from Honeydukes that we got at Universal Studios Hollywood. And then I have these. These are actually just glasses that we used for our own candy bar at our wedding, which was, yes, 12 years ago. So this is a Honeydukes candy jar. This is a regular candy jar. I did make some labels just of the types of candy that we're putting in these jars so that people know. So now we're going to fill these and start setting them out. And I have a ton of different types of candy. I actually probably bought almost too much candy, so I will have to figure out exactly what kind of candy I'm using. First and foremost, for types of candy, I just got this at Target. This is Jelly Belly, so we're going to start with that. This is one of my daughter's favorite, and obviously in Harry Potter they have Birdie Bots every flavor bean, so I wanted to make sure we have that. And I'm actually going to put these into one of the bigger jars just because I know that I have a lot of them. So some of the candy that I have a little bit less of will go into Honeydukes, and the candy I have a little bit more of will go into this. And I also did make a label for this that says Birdie Bots every flavor beans, and I'm going to put on this jar after. All of these were washed and cleaned. Obviously that's important to do before you start putting candy into them. So then you just fill up the jar. That's actually going to fill that up perfectly. That's going to go right there, kind of front and center. Now we have our first candy jar on. Let's do the rest of them. Next up, in this Honeydukes jar, I'm going to put some sour gummy worms. And you want to do your very best, if you can help it, to not touch the candy. Okay, so that's what this one looks like. It's all nice and full. I love that that one says Honeydukes. So for right now, I'm going to put that up there, but I will probably end up moving some of these jars around. I also got these. These are actually wrapped, and I'm going to keep them wrapped because they're fun. They're actually a collaboration with Hershey's, and when you open them, they have different Hogwarts houses in them. So I thought that those were fun. I bought 3 bags of those. I'm going to use one of these bigger silver bowls to go ahead and put these chocolate candies into, so they're easy for people to grab. Here are the Hershey's Kisses that we're using. And those also have houses on them. Let's fill this with Hershey's Kisses. And I just grabbed a handful of these because I really want to show you what they say. Those are Luna Lovegoods glasses or Spectra Specs. Oh, this says Happy Birthday, Harry. That's actually the cake I'm making my daughter. Gryffindor wins. My daughter loves candy corn, so that's what we're doing next. So we're going to add some candy corn to this Honeydukes jar. Okay, here's another jar for Honeydukes. Now, need to do some more of these big jars. I actually only have 2 Honeydukes jars left. For one of the big jars, I actually do have like individually wrapped Twix bars, so I'm going to put that in one of these bigger jars. And the fun part of using like pre-wrapped candy is you can kind of put it out the top, make it look a little bit extra. So here are our Twix bars. Put those right back here. Unfortunately, some of this candy I had to buy kind of in bulk, individual things, so now I have to put these in here directly. So these are Skittles gummies. I'm going to put them into this Honeydukes jar. So that actually took about 20 bags of the little bags of Skittles gummies to fill this up. So I do highly recommend buying the bulk bags if you can. Just this is one of my daughter's favorite candies and they didn't have them in bulk, so little bags it is. Now I'm going to fill some more candy jars and I'm just going to show you what they are when they're done so you don't have to watch 25 minutes of me filling candy jars. The next candy I did was Starburst. I like those. They're very cute and colorful. And one other thing I like about Starburst is that we actually made these cute little labels that we haven't shown you yet. But because Starbursts are obviously Starburst and people know what they are, you can put a funny label on them that says something else. So we actually made this label, which says Fizzing Whizbees, that we're going to put on here. They're obviously Starburst, but it's just cute. We wanted to use some of the names from Harry Potter. So that's what we're doing for this one. We're going to call them Fizzing Whizbees. Okay, next up we have these. This is a giant bag of gummy bears that I got at Costco. There's only like 4 or 5 gummy bears per bag. They would be horrible to unwrap. So I'm going to use another one of those silver bowls like I did for the Hershey's, and I'm just going to dump these in there and make them look cute, and they'll come out the top. And this is now filled with gummy bears, which will probably fall out if I tip it too much. Anyway, little bags of gummy bears. And now on to the next candy, we're going to do some peanut M&Ms. Now we have our peanut M&Ms, and I did specifically label these as peanut M&Ms. No one that is coming, I know every person that's coming actually has a peanut allergy, but just to be safe, I always like to very carefully label if something has peanuts in it. So this is a peanut M&M label, so I didn't put any fun names on this particular type of candy, just on candy like Starburst that doesn't usually have allergens and that people don't really need to know a label because it says it on the packaging. Another fan favorite, we filled this with regular M&Ms, and I will put a label on this saying that they're regular M&Ms, but they do have a little M on there, so they should be pretty easy to tell. But here's another cute Honeydukes jar. And we still have more candy, so we're still filling jars. Next up, we have some more chocolate in this jar. This is Milky Way, just regular size bars and mini bars. I mixed them together, but I think they still look cute, and they're in one of the tall jars. I do like to keep the chocolate just separately. I don't like to unwrap it unless it's like M&Ms or something with like a shell on it, because otherwise it just is going to end up sticking together. So we'll add this, and then we've got a couple more kinds of candy, and then I have a couple little extra decorations that we're going to do to kind of spruce it up, and then we will be all done. Next up, we have the colors of the rainbow. We filled this with Skittles, and I'm going to put a little label on this just so people know the difference between Skittles and M&Ms without having to like look too hard. So this is our last candy jar, but I am going to add a couple little accessories, so I'm going to show you those. And then after that, I have scoops and tongs that we're going to put with each candy jar, and then it'll be done, and I'll show you how it turned out overall. So now we've got all of the candy jars that are back there on Honeydukes. It looks cute, but I'm going to make it look a little bit cuter. So the first thing I'm going to do is I got this chocolate frog rug, but instead of putting it on the floor, I think there's too much green here in front of Honeydukes, so I'm actually going to attach it right here. So when you walk up, there will be a chocolate frog logo, and I'll show you what that looks like overall. I'll give you a close-up at the end, of course. And then I also have this chocolate frog box. This is actually a tin. My daughter collected it, and the tin ones actually come with 5 chocolate frog cards in it. So I'm going to use those chocolate frog cards and this tin to help decorate and give a little bit more color to the display. And then I also got 2 official packages of Birdie Bots Every Flavor beans that I'm also going to put there in the middle of the display. So I'm going to add all those things, and then I will show you the final product. And I almost forgot one of the most important parts, which is that children need to be able to eat the candy. So I did get these Honeydukes candy bags online, and you can kind of see I've made a space there in the middle, and I'm gonna display these out across the middle so kids can come and grab their very own candy bag and fill it up with their very own Honeydukes candy, which would have been my dream when I was a child because I have always been obsessed with Harry Potter. And then the other thing I got on Amazon is you can actually get a half set. They're kind of hard to see, but this half over here is tongs and this half over here is scoops. So we're going to assign those to the candies. We're going to lay out the candy bags. I already attached the chocolate frog banner that you can see right there. And then we will give you a whole look at what it looks like to have your very own Honeydukes in your house. And here's a closer look at what the scoops look like. So this is the candy scoop, and then this is the candy tongs. So I'm just going to kind of place those throughout all the candy that I think needs it the most. It's looking so good. We put in all the scoops and the tongs, so it will be cleanly too. And then now what we're gonna do is we are going to attach the candy jars to the candies that people might not automatically know what they are, or also just to the candy jars because we made some cute labels. And to do that, we're gonna use these command strips, poster board strips, because you can use them basically like tape. They're super lightweight. So we're gonna use that and attach those, and then we'll get a full look. And then one last thing was I did want to add licorice wands to the very top of the display up there because I made a cute name tag for it that says licorice wands, and that is a Harry Potter specific candy, so I thought that would be really cute. So this is the last thing I'm going to add. We've got all of the decorations up there, and then we'll take a closer look at how it turned out. Here is the final product for our Honeydukes candy bar. So that is the backdrop, which is really a throw blanket, but I think it turned out super cool. And then here is our chocolate frog rug that we attached to the front. And then let's take a look at all the candy. So we have some gummy bears, some Twix, some M&Ms, some Fizzing Whizbees, which are really just Starburst, Birdie Bots, every flavor beans, a chocolate frog metal container, some bags to collect your Honeydukes candy. Up here we have licorice wands and just some display Birdie Bots, every flavor beans, and some cards from Inside Chocolate Frogs. And then over here we have sour gummy worms, some Harry Potter themed chocolate kisses, peanut M&Ms, Skittles, gummy Skittles, and then up here, these are those awesome Hershey bars where you can actually get sorted into your house. This is how it turned out overall. I think it is so cute.